In the first hour after you fall asleep tonight, your body and brain will perform a series of strange events you will never remember. You will hallucinate at least 3 times, you will twitch involuntarily, and you may briefly hold a conversation with someone not there. Your body temperature will drop, your blood pressure will fall, your brain waves will slow, and your awareness will fade into a strange in-between state. And then it will all be erased, every event, every sensation, every brief hallucination, deleted from your memory before the second hour begins. Most humans believe sleep is a single continuous experience that begins when their eyes close and ends when their alarm goes off. The truth is the first hour of sleep is the strangest, most chemically violent, and most hallucinatory period of your entire day. Tonight we explain exactly what happens to your body during this hidden hour and why your brain deliberately blocks you from knowing it. We will reveal the exact sequence of biological events that happen in your body during the first 60 minutes of every single night. We will explain the strange brief stage of consciousness called hypnagogia, when you are neither awake nor asleep but somewhere in between. We will reveal why you sometimes feel like falling, hear a voice calling your name, or see a flash of color in the dark. We will show you the chemical that turns off your conscious memory the moment you cross from waking into the first stage of sleep. And we will explain why your body briefly twitches, jerks, and even briefly mumbles during the first 30 minutes of sleep without awareness. The phenomenon is called sleep onset, and it is one of the most poorly understood transitions in the entire human nervous system. By the end of this video, you will understand what your body is doing tonight in the first 60 minutes after your eyes close, and you will know about the hidden hallucinations, twitches, and strange brief experiences your brain is hiding from you every single night. When you decide to fall asleep tonight, you will not transition directly into deep sleep. You will pass through several stages first. The very first stage is called stage N1, the lightest stage of sleep, lasting between 1 and 7 minutes for most healthy adults. During N1, your brain begins to slow down, but it does not go quietly. Your conscious mind resists the transition with surprising intensity. The transition zone between awake and asleep is called hypnagogia, and it is one of the strangest mental states in human experience. Your brain waves shift from active beta waves to slower alpha waves, then begin to mix in even slower theta waves typical of dreaming. But you are not yet dreaming, you are not yet asleep, you are somewhere in between, in a brief state of altered consciousness. Your muscles begin to relax in a wave that moves from your toes upward, slowly releasing tension throughout the entire body. Your body temperature begins to drop by roughly 1 degree Fahrenheit, slowing your metabolism and signaling sleep onset to every cell. Your heart rate slows from the average 60 beats per minute toward 50, then 40, as your nervous system shifts into rest mode. Your breathing deepens and becomes more regular, your blood pressure drops gradually, your digestive system slows down its activity. But during this exact transition, something very strange begins to happen inside your conscious mind that almost no human ever fully witnesses. Your sensory perception starts producing brief hallucinations, sounds that did not actually occur, images that no one else can see. You might hear someone call your name from another room when no one is there to call your name at all. You might see a flash of color, a face emerging from the darkness, a strange object floating across your vision behind closed eyelids. You might feel like you are falling, floating, or briefly leaving your body in a sensation that lasts only a moment. These experiences are called hypnagogic hallucinations, and they are scientifically documented in roughly 70% of all healthy adult human beings. Hypnagogic hallucinations occur during the brief transition into stage N1, when your sensory cortex is still partially active but uncontrolled. The cortex generates random spontaneous activity that your fading conscious mind interprets as real sensations from the outside world. You are essentially generating brief mini-dreams while still partially conscious, which is why they feel so real and so disorienting in the moment. The most common type of hypnagogic hallucination is auditory, hearing your name, being called in a familiar voice that is not actually present. This experience has been documented across cultures for thousands of years and given various supernatural explanations until modern neuroscience finally explained it. The voice you heard was not real. The cortex briefly fired the auditory pattern of your name being called without external input. or stimulus. The second most common type is visual, brief flashes of color, geometric patterns, faces, or scenes that appear behind closed eyelids briefly. Some humans report seeing entire landscapes or rooms that shift and change as they fade into sleep over the next several seconds. The third most common type is the falling sensation, similar to a hypnic jerk but without the muscular response, just the feeling of falling. Some humans report feeling weightless, floating, or briefly outside their own bodies during this transition, the so-called out-of-body sensation, reported globally. All of these experiences are produced by the same mechanism, brief uncontrolled cortical activity that your fading consciousness misinterprets as real perception. The hallucinations typically last between 2 and 20 seconds and then fade as your consciousness loses the ability to attend to them. Most humans forget the hallucinations completely within seconds of having them because the memory system is already shutting down during this transition. Some humans report fragmentary memories of hypnagogic experiences when they wake briefly during the night and try to recall what was happening. The reports almost always involve strangeness, disorientation, brief flashes of impossible content, and a feeling of being somewhere between two states. Throughout history, hypnagogia has been associated with creative insight, artistic vision, scientific discovery, and the so-called mystical experiences across many traditions. Salvador Dali, Thomas Edison, and Friedrich Schiller all deliberately used hypnagogia as a creative tool, catching insights at the edge of sleep. They held metal objects in their hands while drifting off so that when they fully fell asleep, the object dropped and woke them. In those few seconds between hypnagogic vision and waking, they would write down whatever images, words, or ideas had just emerged. After roughly 7 minutes of stage N1 and hypnagogic experiences, your brain transitions into stage N2, which lasts roughly 25 minutes. Stage N2 is when sleep officially begins from a neurological perspective. Your brain waves shift dramatically, and your consciousness fully disconnects from the world. 2 specific brainwave patterns appear during N2 that do not exist during any other stage of sleep or any other time in life. The first pattern is called a sleep spindle, a brief burst of fast brainwave activity occurring multiple times per minute. Sleep spindles are produced by your thalamus, the brain's relay center, and they appear to actively block sensory information from reaching your cortex. The spindles are why you do not wake up from minor sounds during sleep. Your thalamus is actively filtering them before they reach awareness. The second pattern is called a K-complex, a large slow brainwave that appears suddenly in response to specific environmental events around you. K-complexes appear to be your brain's internal alarm system, checking whether an external sound is dangerous enough to wake you from sleep. If the sound is harmless, the K-complex resolves quickly, and you continue sleeping without ever becoming consciously aware that anything happened to you. If the sound is dangerous, the K-complex triggers a wake response, and you suddenly find yourself fully alert with the source already identified. This is why a sleeping parent ignores loud traffic outside, but wakes instantly at the soft cry of their child in the next room. The thalamus has classified the cry as dangerous, and the K-complex has triggered wake response, all without conscious decision-making at any point. During stage N2, your body continues to relax, your heart rate slows further, your temperature continues to drop slightly toward its low. Your eye movements stop almost entirely. Your muscles enter near complete relaxation, and your breathing becomes slow, steady, and unconsciously controlled. If someone were to look at you during stage N2, you would appear deeply asleep, completely still, breathing slowly, perfectly peaceful. But your brain is actively monitoring the environment, filtering threats from non-threats, ready to wake you instantly if real danger appears. You spend roughly half of your total sleep time in stage N2 across the entire night, more than in any other single stage. This is the stage where most of the night happens for most humans, the longest, the steadiest, and the most invisible stage. If hypnagogia is so common, if hallucinations happen to 70% of humans every night, why does almost nobody remember experiencing them? The answer involves the same hippocampus we covered in our episode on dream memory, and the same chemical norepinephrine that controls memory transfer. During the transition into sleep, norepinephrine levels begin to drop, and your hippocampus loses the ability to encode new memories into long-term storage. By the time you are deep in hypnagogia, your hippocampus is essentially offline, the same way it goes offline during full REM, dreaming later. The hallucinations you experience are real in the sense that they are produced by real cortex activity inside your real conscious mind. But they are never written into long-term memory, so they functionally never happen from the perspective of your waking self the next morning. This is why hypnagogia has remained mysterious throughout most of human history. The people who experience it, the most cannot remember it afterward. Only when you happen to wake up during a hypnagogic experience, before it fades, can you actually carry the memory of it forward. And even then, the memory is fragmentary, distorted, and rapidly fades within minutes of returning to consciousness, like a partly remembered dream. The brief twitches, the mumbled words, the half-conscious mutters that sometimes wake your sleeping partner are also hypnagogic activity not stored. If your partner has ever asked you what you were just saying while you were falling asleep, you genuinely have no recollection of it. You said it, you experienced it, but you never recorded it, and so for you, it never happened at all in any meaningful sense. Every single night, you experience strange events that you do not have access to remembering, even if you wanted to try hard. The first hour of sleep is functionally invisible to you, lived but not stored, experienced but not retained, witnessed only by your partner. Tonight, when you turn off the light and begin to drift away, you will pass through that same hidden hour of hypnagogic experience. You will likely hear something that was not said, see something that was not there, feel a sensation that was not happening to you. Your body will twitch, your eyes will briefly dart behind your closed eyelids, your breathing will deepen and slow towards sleep. Your brain will produce sleep spindles to filter out the world, K-complexes to monitor for danger, and slow waves to escort you deeper. Somewhere in the middle of that hour, you will lose the ability to remember any of it, and the experience will become invisible forever. Your conscious mind will report the next morning that you simply went to sleep, that nothing happened, that the hour passed without incident. But for 30 minutes of last night, you were having brief mini-dreams, hearing voices, seeing flashes, experiencing hallucinations in active darkness. Your sleeping partner may have heard you mumble, may have seen you twitch, may have watched your eyes move briefly behind your eyelids. They are the only witnesses to the strangest hour of your night, the hour your own brain refuses to let you observe yourself. Tonight, as you fall asleep, try to notice the moment when the first hypnagogic image appears, the first flash of color or face. If you can hold attention long enough to witness one, you briefly inhabit the same edge of consciousness artists used for insight. Then your hippocampus will go offline, the memory will fade, and the experience will be gone before your second hour even begins. And in the morning, you will simply remember that you fell asleep, while the hidden hour continues every single night of your entire life.